Hi, my name is Golbanou and I'm one of the remote artists in residence for Give Me Space, IPCNY's new Prince program from summer of 2020. I'm originally from Iran. I have studied, lived and worked in the UK and US. I've been in the Bay Area, San Francisco since 2012. My practice is focused on etching, and for the past 3 years, I had this ongoing project of 3 by 3 etchings that I often present in an uncommon framing fashion, and I create large scale murals to present the etchings on top of those. I have a background in illustration, and I really like storytelling that is not straightforward. And this kind of delivering a message in an indirect way, it's very common in Persian culture and literature. I'm inspired by real life events that usually have had a significant emotional impact on me. I also took its inspiration from Persian poetry, and I will bring them into my work the way that it speaks to my personal story. Hupu is a major character from the Conference of the Birds, a poetry book from 11th century by Attar, a Persian poet. Hupu was a bird that guided all the birds towards a journey that would eventually lead to unity. That was the message of the book. And for this print that was selected for the show, I created a human hupu combined with a pattern that was inspired by Islamic geometric design. And the patterns are interestingly all made of circle. I feel like circle is a perfect example of unity. It was my perspective of expressing what unity was and how all these things combine together in one piece. When the residency was offered to me, it was perfect timing, really, because I was coincidentally laid off from my job and I had gained access to my studio after nearly 4 months. My studio is in a national park and we couldn't go there because of the early months of COVID. Continuing to work on this project seemed to be the right choice. I have a small press in my studio and I could work in that scale easily. Also, it just seemed very intimate and suiting of the situation. I wanted to tell stories that were relevant to that space and environment that is very dear to me, and I realized by coming back how much I missed being there. Also, I wanted to express the sadness I felt during those months. I was reading a little bit about the birds in that area. There is a hill around there, it's called Hawk Hill, because there are lots of hawks. But I also learned there is a rare owl that sometimes migrates to that area. And it was very metaphoric for me because it seemed like the rare owl is like a person, an outsider person that comes to an area dominated by other people that they know each other. And sometimes they do not take the time to know you or give you a chance to introduce yourself. I decided to bring this owl to some of these pieces, and it was evaluated by a turkey vulture, and eventually it was killed. In some other pieces, it's just the hupu, and it was about just existence and asking questions and thinking about right decision making in difficult times while keeping one's dignity and freedom. My process is really straightforward etching, and I do line etching, hard ground etching for the most part, and I love working with black and white and try to express everything with this medium. I use Gumpy paper to print on because it has the smoothest surface and picks up the most delicate lines on the plates, and it's really ideal for the way that I work. And also Shinkole is an important part of my work because usually the Gumpy itself is very see-through and fragile, so I adhere it to a thicker Western paper through Shinkolé process. At other times, I just print straight on the Gampi and then back it with Kozo. And in the case of this project, I decided to, the backed Shinkolé, the back Gampi was then mounted on this wooden panel. So I did a series of them like this. I think this residency was just amazing. The financial support enabled me to be able to provide the material I needed for my work and not to shy away from testing ideas. That's why I did two series, one, the one that I just showed, mounted on wood, and then my husband made these frames, and this is the way I said that I frame my pieces. I'm still deciding how I'm going to present them, like whether some of them framed and some of them on the wood. I'm really thankful to the staff at IPCNY. They did a great job of connecting all of us, and they created an amazing online platform. I met many great people through this show, and with some of them we're planning to do some collaboration. So really, I see residencies as only the beginning of something wonderful. I'm really excited about what's going to come out of this residency in the near future.